All right, it's become a busy time of year, and just now, breaking news at Dawg Post. Todd Robinson, committee of the Dogs, he is the Valdosta quarterback. If you don't know Valdosta, man, I don't know. I just don't follow high school football through the years. One of the best programs of all time in the country. Todd Robinson picking the Dogs. He got an offer on March 26th, as you can see from Matt DeBerry's story here. He is probably going to play defensive back at Georgia. But when you watch him play, he has a lot of ball skills. He's not going to be a college quarterback. He's a good high school quarterback. He's not a college level quarterback. But his speed and quickness, his speed specifically, you just cannot recreate that. And, makes you, speaking about Asta, you got Malcolm Mitchell, who was a burner down there. And in this league, what really separates it from other leagues as well as from high school football is just the straight up speed of everybody that's on the field. But Robinson's probably got a little bit more than everybody else. And when you watch him play, you see what I'm talking about. They're just quarterbacks. They're just quarterback drawing people to death. And if he gets to the corner, even close to the corner, he's gone. You saw about Asta. He mainly plays quarterback, but they'll throw it to him as a receiver just to get him in space. So you've got some options here. We've not seen Georgia under Kirby. I'm trying to think. We've not seen Georgia use guys on both sides of the field yet, unless I'm going crazy and I can't remember it. But if he's going to play DB, then he's got, he doesn't really play that about Asta. He plays, I guess, modified running back, if you want to call it that. He's a quarterback. He's a back. But he had over 1,000 yards last year, 5 touchdowns, 8.3 yards a carry. He had 100-yard games 5 times. He's extremely productive in a area where Valdosta plays legitimate teams all the time. This is not they're in South Georgia, it means it's a small school. Not Valdosta. So you're playing Lowndes, playing McEachern, you're playing bigger schools. You're having to deal with bigger schools, Camden, I think. So he's playing real people. What will the transition here will be? How well can he play what he plays in college at Georgia? That will be different for him because he's speed is one aspect of the game. It is not the entire game, and I think that learning how to play your position and executing that position is critically important in the SEC. And but you're not going to make Kirby Smart was fast at Georgia, but he wasn't Champ Bailey fast. So you can't teach speed. You can get faster on the margins, but this guy's already got that. So now it is you take the speed he's already got and you say you have to learn how to play this position. Well, everybody has to learn how to play the position. If you already have the speed, or in some places the size, then that's great. So I think for Georgia, I think this is number 12 for them with Todd Robinson coming in, and they're getting where they got to go. Walker over the weekend, Williams from Kingsland. I talked about Camden earlier. You've got linebackers, tight ends, quarterbacks. They're getting guys where they got to go. There's never been a spot at Georgia since Kirby took over. There's not been often that I can remember at all where they're like, well, we really need offensive line. When you look at the board, it's there's never a deficit. They just go out and get who they need. The quarterback might be the one spot where and they've got 4 on scholarship right now. That's a lot these days. So at running back, they're loaded up with kids. Wide receiver, tight end is a little bit thin, but then they add the kid from Stanford. So they're doing what they're supposed to do and what they have to do. I think it's not surprising how much we will see over time how well Todd Robinson fits into the systems at Georgia. We don't know. Eric Stokes was a 3-star kid too. if my memory is correct. And the biggest thing that turned everybody's head when he was in Covington was the speed that he had on track. So you're going to see the same thing here from Todd Robinson, but you've got to go play the position. You got to go play those spots, and we'll just see. A guy that typically plays quarterback would normally be a safety at the next level, but normally, I mean, what is that anymore? You got a lot of defensive backs. You're going to see. I mean, Malachi will be gone after this season. You could have Humphrey gone. You could have Everett gone. You've got a lot of guys that could be leaving in theory. That could be in 2025. So there's some spots there, but there's no position that is really better coached at Georgia than the DBs, because the head coach is a defensive back, an old defensive back, and it's going to be important to him. But I know Ohio State's gotten off to a really good, fast start in the recruiting world. I think Clemson's doing pretty well too. But Georgia's going to be fine. I don't think there's really a concern there. Both Georgia and Georgia has the fewest commits, except LSU, of the consensus top 10 programs. Georgia with multiple 5 stars. Like Clemson's got 4 or 10 4-star kids. Excuse me. They don't have any 5-star players. Notre Dame, no 5-star players. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Auburn, no 5-star players. And then LSU, Georgia, SC, they all have 2 each. Alabama has 1, and Ohio State. That's where you're going to have to get, your guys from. They're going to have to be high level. The top of your class has to be really good. And, for Georgia and Alabama, these last 2 seasons, one of them's been the 1, one of them's been the 2. And that's how this goes. You have to stack players. They've all been number 1, 2, or 3 for the last few cycles, Georgia and Bama. So the difference, I think, pretty obviously is we don't know yet what Kalen DeBoer will be like as the head coach at Alabama. I mean, my suspicion is going to be pretty good, but we don't know. And then you've got to get guys like Robinson. They got to come in and really be good. That 23 class from Alabama really was superb, I have to say. But the 24 class from Georgia was really good too. So we're going to see these two fight. Of course, with the portal, you're seeing guys leave, and we don't know what we don't know about what the future will be from everybody. But Robinson is going to be a very fast, sort of electric player for Georgia. What I don't know is where he'll play in the future. Can he learn to play that spot? Because as a person who was never fast, I wasn't slow. Well, I was always envious of the speed guys because once they got loose, you couldn't catch them, and that's maybe why he would make sense on defense, is to be able to mitigate those problems, and maybe guys don't just go out and go nuts all the time. Guys like him can go catch them, but I think there's no reason to be concerned about Georgia's recruiting. They're where they need to be. This is going to continue to be an important time in the recruiting world, because you've got June becoming what January used to be. The problem is everybody's on vacation. This is not like the 8 weeks that we had from the SEC championship game to signing day in the past. You had Christmas week to New Year's, where kind of people didn't really pay attention, but even then you had all-star games. So we've gone from a very populated part of the calendar to a very boring part of the calendar. June is going to become increasingly more important with recruiting, but I think for Kirby and company, they've done a really good job of stacking kids up, stacking up players, and I don't think that's going to stop. This is, was not a surprising commitment. And I don't think it's going to be the last one this month. That's what I'll say. But anyway, the Dogs grab another commitment, and they're moving on up the recruiting rankings. We'll see them in the top 3 probably soon.